So the Los Angeles Lakers have taken a commanding lead in the Western Conference Finals. Liam, who do you think is going to take the rest of this series?
Look, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's the Lakers. Do the Lakers get the broom out and sweep? I don't know. I got the Lakers in 4 or 5. We saw AD come out and dominate like we predicted. He had 37 and 10. It was incredible. We saw playoff Rondo leading that bench unit for the Lakers, and I think the Lakers are way too strong in the series.
AP, who do you think is going to take the rest of this series?
I mean, I've still got my money on Denver. I mean, if you look at all their series so far, they've lost 3 out of the 4 games, 3 out of the 4 first games. It's about who wins the 7, and Denver proved time and time again that they can win it in 7. If you look at Charles Barkley as well, he guaranteed the Lakers would sweep. His predictions are 13.7% correct. So I mean, if you go by that, yeah, you've got a lack of brain cells. That's all I can say.
If you can't stop paint and interior scoring, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter how good you are as a team. Basketball is an inside-out sport. If you can't stop them inside, you are screwed. And that's why I'm bringing out the broom. The Denver Nuggets, they're done for. It's going to be a sweep. I'm sorry to all the Denver Nuggets fans, but you just don't have the defense. The only way the Nuggets will win is if they outscore the Lakers. And like Liam has said, they're really deep on the bench. They're probably not going to do that.
This Lakers team is going to the finals, and we saw LeBron's reaction to the MVP, which I don't know. It's the regular season MVP, LeBron. I mean, Giannis played a better regular season. I'm not sure what you're angry about, but if it's going to inspire him and help him play better in the playoffs, I mean, use it as motivation.
I don't think LeBron will be in the right headspace for the next game. Even I don't know if you guys have seen all the Bronny things where he was caught using illicit drugs. I know that would have had an impact on LeBron James' mental state, and I'm pretty sure he won't be bringing it to game 2. Oh yeah.
I think the Nuggets, I think we saw that video of Monte Morris looking at Jokic with the old hard eyes. The Nuggets are too in love with Jokic, and they're not seeing his flaws. Okay, we need to stop being so in love with that big man, as lovable as he is. We need to see the truth. Okay, he can't defend. Jokic's defensive rating was 118, which means he allowed essentially 118 points per 100 possessions. That's shocking, okay? To put that into perspective, 2 of the worst defensive teams in the league this year, the Washington Wizards and the Cleveland Cavaliers, their defensive rating was only 114 and 116. So Jokic has a worse defensive rating than the 2 worst defenses in the league this year. So that's how badly Jokic has been on defense. That's during the playoffs, right? During last game, his defensive rating was 129. That's just out of this world horrible.
I mean, Mike mentioned how bad Jokic's defensive rating is, but if you look at his offensive rating, 3rd best in the league, I think that kind of outweighs how bad he might play defensively. The man can facilitate. I mean, he didn't get to do it much last game, but the game before that, to seal the deal against the Clippers, he had 12 assists. I'm pretty sure he'd be able to do that again as long as his teammates are able to shoot properly.
I think the key to success for the Nuggets is definitely that Jokic, Jamal Murray pick and roll. That's how they kill the Clippers. That's how they kill the Utah Jazz. And I think that's how they'll have a chance against the Lakers. Obviously, if you have JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard playing on Jokic, and then you run that Jamal Murray, Jokic pick and roll, that's a recipe for success. But obviously, the Lakers have AD who can match up against Jokic, and he'll be okay, I guess, against Jamal Murray. That might help stem that, source of offensive production. So I'm going to be looking out for that pick and roll, seeing if they can get it going. That has been their key source of success, which is why Jokic has had so many assists and Murray's had so many points during these playoffs.
The Nuggets were matching the Lakers for that first quarter and a half, I suppose. I think that they were just scoring ridiculously. It was 50-50, I think, halfway through the second quarter. But I think the one thing you got to think about in this series, the Lakers dominated game 1. They had it won by 3/4 time. That's why you saw such low minutes from all the stars in this game, because it was wrapped up by 3/4 time. But they did this with LeBron only scoring 15. I think that's quite scary, where we've seen him just be able to flick that switch and drive and score. And especially against Jokic, his lack of interior D, I think we're just going to see LeBron turn it on if need be. And I think, you're obviously not going to get KCP dropping 18 every night, but you're not going to get Danny Green shooting 3 of 10 every night either. Oh, I mean, you might. He's not.
No, you won't. Actually. Okay, you're not going to see that.
That's a good night for him, man.
But yeah, I think for me that's probably the most worrying sign for the Nuggets is that they got destroyed in 3 quarters with LeBron scoring 15.
But AD did drop 37. I mean, I don't foresee him being able to do that consistently every night.
I do. Minimum 37 a night. AD is dropping 42 and averaging 35 for the series.
If you look at Anthony Davis's performances in the past when he played for the Pelicans, every year he was just getting done by the Warriors. I know the Warriors were like a super team, but AD was considered the best big man in the league back then, and I mean he didn't prove it against the Warriors, that's for sure. And he did have a good team. He actually had Rondo playing with him. He had Drew Holiday. I think DeMarcus Cousins was out then, but still, yeah, he should have at least won a couple games in those playoffs that he was considered the best big man in the league, and he certainly didn't. So he hasn't really done anything in the playoffs previously, and I don't see him, turning. He did have one good game the other day, if you look at it, but I don't see him consistently doing that throughout the series.
You have to look at experience. Like I said, Danny Green is not going to have multiple bad games in a row. We're going to see him, eventually start hitting his shots. And when that happens, it's series over. Like, I really want to root for the Nuggets. I want to root for the Nuggets.
He's a certified bricklayer, mate. They might as well put Jared Dudley out there instead of Danny Green.
I'll tell you what, I reckon the one way the Denver Nuggets can steal a few games against the Lakers is if Jokic does the opposite of what he did in Game 1, whereas he gets the Lakers big men in foul trouble early. But I mean, the issue is they've got JaVale, they've got Dwight, they've got AD to kind of all go through that if any of them are in foul trouble. But I think Jokic just needs to be crafty how he was in Game 7 against the Clippers. We saw him get a few of the Clippers players in foul trouble early. Jamal Murray also needs to continue doing the same. That's really the only way I can see the Nuggets somehow managing to outscore this Lakers offense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Lakers players are pretty susceptible to getting into foul trouble, like Dwight, JaVale, even AD has gotten into foul trouble early. I know LeBron's pretty witty. He won't really allow himself to get into foul trouble. But when you affect the players who LeBron will facilitate, then that can be a problem for them. And you're right. If Jokic and Murray are smart enough, they can draw fouls on the weaker players on the Laker team and really dramatically impact their offense.
I guess we'll find out who wins between the Lakers and the Nuggets. Like and subscribe and comment down below. Who do you think is going to win the series?